useless!
What's going on, guys? You're chilling with Trainer Zabza, and today I've got a Pokenalysis for you on Ampharos. Now, this is the first time I'm going to be doing a Pokenalysis on a Pokemon with a potential Mega, so you guys are going to be seeing some new things in this one. Ampharos, just on its own, has weaknesses to ground and resistances to electric, steel, and flying. However, you'll see there are a bunch of pseudo-weaknesses there. That is because when it Mega evolves, it gains new weaknesses to Fairy, Ice, and Dragon, and new resistances to Fire, Water, and Grass. And the reason why I'm considering these pseudo-abilities is because normally Ampharos would not get them, but because it has a new Mega Evolution, and it has to have that item equipped, it does have the possibility of getting them as resistances and weaknesses. But looking at its abilities are very limited. Its ability 1, Static, is pretty much its only viable ability, considering it doesn't have a second one, and its hidden ability is Plus, which is useless outside of a double battle or triple battle. But the stats are fairly respectable. I mean, the speed is dirt slow, but the defense, special defense, and HP are pretty damn good for both. And its special attack is pretty high on its own, so Ampharos, I think, was NU to RU last generation, so for it to be bumped up to UU isn't actually that surprising, considering it has some decent stats. But now looking at its Mega Evolution, its Mega ability is Mold Breaker, which is a fantastic ability, which means Pokemon who would have those pseudo-immunities with Volt Absorb and Lightning Rod no longer have those abilities activate, which means they no longer have those immunities. And looking at its stats, yes, it got slower than regular Ampharos, but holy crap, it got some amazing defense, special defense. The HP is the same, but you know what, 90 HP is enough to make it work, and that special attack stat is off the charts. Literally, if you look at it, it's off the chart, making Mega Ampharos a huge, bulky, and offensive threat, almost on par with Kangaskhan. Not quite because the whole parental bond thing and the speed, but take away the speed and parental bond and you've pretty much got Ampharos in a nutshell. But moving on to the common sets. The most common set is a set with Ampharosite, Static, and a Modest Nature. The ability doesn't really matter since you have Ampharosite, but just for the record, you should always be running Static if you're not running Ampharosite, because Plus sucks out of multi-Pokemon battles. And the EV spread is 252 HP, 252 special attack, and 4 special defense, with a moveset of Focus Blast, Thunderbolt, Dragon Pulse, and then the 4th move slot was unclear. However, I believe the most common set was Cotton Guard, with optional moves in Power Gem and Signal Beam for coverage. And what makes this common set so freaking difficult is the fact that Ampharos has natural bulk. Like, I think it had 105 defense and 110 special defense, just base. So, with maxing out your HP, you get a massive tank and especially offensive threat all in one. Now, much to my surprise, I actually have a second common set for you guys. This one, pretty much the same, Ampharosite, Static, except with a Timid Nature and an EV spread of 4 HP, 252 special attack, and 252 speed, with the moveset of Thunderbolt, Dragon Pulse, a coverage move in the form of Power Gem, Focus Blast, or Signal Beam. I believe the recommended move was Focus Blast, but you can really go with any of these. And then a 4th move in Agility. Now, you might think, with 45 base speed, it's not that fast to begin with, so there's really no point in running Agility. However, you would be wrong, because with a Timid set and 45 base speed, you hit 207 speed, which means after an Agility, you hit 414 speed, which is enough to outspeed everything you need to, except Scarfers. If you have to face Scarfers, you need to Agility again. But if you're not predicting any kind of Scarfers on their team, you're fine with just +2. A pretty simple yet very effective set. And building off this, I decided to make a custom set of my own similar to it. Looking at it, it's Ampharosite, Static, Timid, with the same EV spread. However, the move pool is different. You need Agility with this set, and you need Charge Beam. I call this a Double Dance Ampharos. Much like Terrakion had Swords Dance and Rock Polish to make that Double Dance, this one has Agility and Charge Beam. It's not quite Double Dance because you can't get a +2 special attack boost from Charge Beam, but with 160 base special attack, a +1 boost is still devastating, and afterwards just having Thunderbolt and Dragon Pulse for dual stab. Now, the beautiful thing about this set is there's very little that resists it. The only things that do resist it are in OU and RU, and NU. I checked, there are no Pokemon in UU that resist this combination of Thunderbolt and Dragon Pulse, or Dragon and Electric type moves. So even if you're not getting off a super effective hit, you can still one-shot things with the base 165 and +1 special attack. And now moving on to my second custom set. which is a defensive set. Now this one's a little different, because you have the option of running Leftovers or Ampharosite. You can go Leftovers if you want the recovery, or you can go Ampharosite if you want the bulk. With a bold or calm nature, and an EV spread of 4 special attack, 252 HP, and 252 defense if you're going bold, or 252 special defense if you're going calm. With the moveset of Rest, Heal Bell, Sleep Talk, and then Discharge or Dragon Pulse. I would recommend Discharge, however, if you want more neutral coverage, you can go with Dragon Pulse. The thing about this set is you can run the calm or bold set, but you need to watch out which EVs you put into where depending on what set you have. And the great thing about this set is it's a very bulky cleric. I would personally recommend Ampharosite just for the extra bulk and the fact that you'll get plenty of recovery with Rest. However, if you have another Mega on the team, you can always go with Leftovers and still use it as a decent cleric. The next set I have to show you is similar to this one, however it is a gimmick set. If you look, it is Light Clay or Ampharosite, again the same reasoning. If you want more utility from this Pokemon, you're going to want Light Clay, but if you want more bulk, you can go with Ampharosite, but as you can guess, the moves that would be affected by Light Clay won't last as long. With the ability Static, Bold or Calm Nature, with the same EV spread as before, 252 defense if you're going to go bold, 252 special defense if you're going to calm, with Reflect, Light Screen, Volt Switch, and then the fourth move as a toss-up is Protect, Heal Bell, or Confuse Ray. Now the reason I have this listed as a gimmick set is because Ampharos does not have access to reliable recovery. It has access to Rest, that's pretty much it. If it had something like Moonlight, Recover, Morning Sun, something to that effect, just something that it could use to get HP back relatively quickly and not have the off chance of missing moves, or missing turns with sleep, then it would be more viable. It could be a custom set. But because of that lack of recovery, I'm going to have to limit it to a gimmick set. It can work, but it needs support. And the final set I have for you is another gimmick set, is Physically Offensive Ampharos. Yep, that's right, completely forget about that base 165 special attack and focus on that 95 physical attack. Oh boy, what a great idea! Can you feel the sarcasm? I hope you can. This set is sporting an Adamant or Brave nature with 252 HP, 252 attack, and 4 defense or special defense. With the moves Outrage, Wild Charge, or Thunder Punch depending on whether you want to take recoil or not, a coverage move and Fire Punch, and the fourth move slot depends on what nature you're running. If you're running the Adamant nature, go with Power Up Punch. If you're running the Brave nature, go with Volt Switch. Because even at base 165, it's still going to be higher than its 95 Adamant attack. How sad is that? Now the only reason I'm even listing this is because I think it's pretty cool that it gets Outrage, Wild Charge, and Power Up Punch. And I think it would be really neat to see something like that. However, you should not use this under any circumstance unless you want to have fun with it. If you're trying to win a battle, do not use this set. If you just want to have some fun, go for it, use this set. And now after all those movesets, let's go on to the teammates, checks, and counters. First off, checks and counters. Probably the number one check or counter to Ampharos, or Mega Ampharos in this case, is Nidoking. Because Nidoking, even though it has higher base physical attack, it doesn't matter. Sheer Force, Life Orb, Earth Power hits hard. Oh my god, it just does so much damage. It can one-shot, I am almost positive it can one-shot Mega Ampharos without even giving you a chance. Nidoking with Sheer Force Life Orb is just that powerful. If it's running Choice Scarf, then yeah, you got a chance to survival, but Sheer Force Life Orb, nah, you're gone. The second threat here is Florges. Florges is very common in the UU metagame, and it's a very good cleric, and being a natural special wall, can take hits from Mega Ampharos and is completely immune to its Dragon-type moves, which means if your opponent is using a Florges, you best switch out. Another checker counter that's actually pretty specific is Steelix. Now you may be wondering why I'm saying Steelix. That is because if you remember what I said before about the Double Dance set not having any counters in the tier, it has some counters outside of the tier. Like for instance, you don't have to worry about OU unless you want to use the Ampharos in OU itself. However, you need to worry about Steelix, which I believe is RU right now, and is immune to his Thunderbolt and Charge Beam, and can take Dragon Pulses pretty well. Sure, Steelix isn't very specially defensive, but that doesn't matter. It's a Steelix, it resists the hit, they're massively bulky, which means if they send this in, switch Ampharos out, you're not going to win that exchange pretty much no matter what. That is with the Double Dance set. If you're running a more standard set with Focus Blast for coverage, if you just happen to be running that, you don't have Power Gem or something like that, then yes, you stand a pretty good chance, because Focus Blast can bring Steelix down to its sturdy. You still need to worry about an Earthquake and Retaliation, however you can take solace in knowing that you will knock out that Steelix. And the final checker counter I have here is Blissey. Now, you may be wondering, what the hell, Zabza? Blissey's OU. But at the time of this video, Blissey has been dropped down to UU, which means Blissey is a definite threat to Mega Ampharos. Even with the Double Dance set, Blissey still takes hits really well, can wish or softball off the damage, can Toxic You in return, and pretty much make Mega Ampharos' life a living hell, just because it can stall it out. Although I have to say, it's worth noting, if you're running physically offensive, you don't have to worry. Then again, if you're running physically offensive, you damn well better be playing for fun. But let's go ahead and move on to the teammates. Teammates can include Bronzong. Bronzong is pretty much one of the best teammates I could come up with for Mega Ampharos because it covers all, and I mean all, of its weaknesses. If you look at all the weaknesses from Mega Ampharos, Steel resists Fairy, Steel resists Ice, and Steel resists Dragon, and its Levitate ability makes it immune to ground. So unless you're facing something else with Mold Breaker and an Earth-type move, you don't have to worry about it. Bronzong can resist all of Ampharos' weaknesses. Another teammate that's pretty good is Fortress. Now, while it won't resist ground, it still resists the other types, and it can take some hits from ground-type moves considering how physically bulky it is. Sure, you'd still have to worry about Nidoking, but not because of its Earth power, but because they have Flamethrower. But otherwise, Fortress is a pretty good teammate, can come in on the switch, set up hazards, and if it wants to, Volt Switch afterwards. Another good teammate that I'd like to mention is Crobat. Crobat, being a flying type, is naturally immune to ground weakness, and it resists the fairy type weakness it gets when it Mega Evolves. Not to mention, it's a pretty good support set with Defog, and it can do some pretty good damage with Brave Bird. Or, like Fortress, if it doesn't find the matchup favorable, it can just U-turn out. And finally, Pokemon that would find Ampharos a good teammate would pretty much be any water type. I mean, if you just look at Crocoon's weaknesses, just Grass and Electric, Mega Ampharos has that covered. I'll be honest, I kinda had a hard time trying to find a fourth teammate that would actually benefit from Mega Ampharos. And that's not to say Mega Ampharos isn't useful for covering other Pokemon, it's such a good all-around Pokemon that it can fit pretty much on any team. But that's it for this Pokenalysis. I know it's been a long one, and I thank anyone who stuck around this long in the video. I hope you all enjoyed that. If you have any suggestions for my next Pokenalysis, go ahead and leave them in the comments below, and I will see you next time.